Here's a wild thought. What if you could pull the greatest engineer of the ancient world right into our time and ask him to audit our most advanced technology? Well, today we're doing exactly that. We're putting Archimedes in the driver's seat of the future.
So let's meet our auditor, Archimedes of Syracuse. And this guy's resume, it's just staggering. A master of mathematics who was already thinking about things like integral calculus centuries ahead of his time. This is the man who famously said, "Give me a place to stand and I will move the earth." Well, guess what? We've given him that place right here in the 21st century. And yep, he's going car shopping.
Now let's get one thing straight. This isn't some dusty, boring historical figure we're talking about. Archimedes was a hands-on genius. He was obsessed with practical perfection, with efficiency, and with getting things done using the sheer beauty of math. He didn't just think, he built.
Okay, so if we're going to figure out what car he'd actually pick, we first have to get inside his head. We have to understand the 3 core engineering principles that drove every single thing he ever invented. These are like his non-negotiables, his unchanging laws of perfection.
And really, it all boils down to these 3 big obsessions you see here. First, the lever, which is all about mechanical advantage. Second, the screw, his model for perfect cyclical efficiency. And finally, optimization, which was really about his absolute pure hatred of waste in any form. These are the criteria. So let's dig into each one.
All right, first up, mechanical advantage. This was his claim to fame, right? It's all about getting the most possible work done with the least amount of effort. It's about multiplying force. It's about taking something that seems impossible and making it happen with just a light touch. Next, we've got his ideas on fluid dynamics, and you can't talk about that without talking about the Archimedes screw. But it was about so much more than just moving water. It was this beautiful idea of creating a closed-loop system where energy is transferred and reused, not just spent and lost.
And this last one, honestly, this might be the most important of all: optimization. You see, Archimedes just hated waste. He couldn't stand it. Every design had to be elegant, perfect, the shortest path, the most efficient shape, the solution with 0 extra parts. To him, waste was the ultimate enemy.
Okay, so we've got the rule book, we know how he thinks. Now for the fun part. Let's imagine Archimedes walking into an electric car dealership for the very first time. I'm pretty sure this is where he would have a massive, modern eureka moment.
You know, the very first thing he would notice, I think, is this fundamental shift. See, for his entire life, moving heavy things meant using messy, unpredictable biology. Horses, oxen, things that get tired, things that have to eat. He would see an electric vehicle as a giant leap from that organic chaos to something pure, predictable, mathematical. To him, electricity would look like geometry in motion.
And right away, he'd see his first principle come to life: instant torque. Think about it. That accelerator pedal, that's the lever. A tiny bit of input from your foot, and you're moving 2 tons of metal almost instantly. That is pure, unadulterated mechanical advantage.
And then he'd see his second principle, and his mind would just be blown. Regenerative braking is basically the Archimedes screw, just reborn for the 21st century. Instead of wasting all that energy as heat when you slow down, nope, the system captures that momentum and pumps it right back into the battery. It's a perfect, elegant, closed-loop cycle. Absolutely no wasted energy.
And this is where it all just clicks into place. The whole way we measure performance, it changes. Forget horsepower. That's a messy biological term. But watt-hours per kilometer? Oh, that's math. That's a pure number. For a guy who obsessed over calculating pi, that's the number he'd fixate on. It's the mathematics of motion. So we've seen how the technology itself is basically tailor-made for his engineering philosophy. But now let's get down to brass tacks. With this checklist in his mind, what car does he actually choose?
So, if the master himself walked into a dealership today, what's actually on his shopping list? What are the absolute must-haves for the man who wanted to move the world?
Well, here you have it. His priorities are crystal clear. Number 1, above all else, maximum efficiency, because he hates waste. Then you need that instant torque. That's the lever. And you've got to have powerful regeneration. That's the screw. These are the non-negotiables. So after running all the contenders through his ancient but perfectly modern filter, the verdict is in. Archimedes would choose the Lucid Air Pure. And why? Well, for one very simple reason. It is the undisputed king of optimization.
And this is the number that would make him sign on the dotted line. Approximately 5 miles per kilowatt hour. I mean, that is just a ridiculously good efficiency statistic.
For a man who is obsessed with eliminating waste, this number isn't just a spec, it's poetry. I mean, there's just no other production car you can buy today that squeezes more distance out of a single unit of energy. Its motors are incredibly lightweight and unbelievably efficient. He would look at this car and see the perfect machine to, in his own words, move the world with a grain of energy.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. What about something like this Cybertruck? All those raw, sharp angles, that pure geometry. Surely the mathematician in him would love that, right? And yeah, he probably would. But here's the flaw. A polygon fights the air. A smooth curve works with it. And for Archimedes, the most efficient solution is always the most elegant one. Superior aerodynamics always wins.
So what's the point of this whole thought experiment, this little journey from ancient Syracuse all the way to a modern car dealership? Well, it reveals a simple, timeless truth, what you might call an axiom for the ages.
I can just hear him now, signing the paperwork, a little smile on his face and saying, "With this machine, I have finally found the perfect fulcrum to move the world, without sweat and without horses."
And that's really the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? The principles of mechanical advantage, of cyclical systems, of a deep hatred for waste, these ideas were perfected by a genius over 2,000 years ago. And they are the very same principles that govern the most advanced technology on our roads today. It just proves that great engineering is truly timeless.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other ancient, timeless principles of efficiency and leverage are hiding in plain sight, quietly shaping all the technology that you and I use every single day?